monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? HIMS can help. Get started at hims.com/joy. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy.
Responsible sports betting starts with a game plan. That means stick to a budget. Keep it social by playing with friends. Learn the game and know the odds. Play with trusted, legal operators. And if you need help, reach out. If you're getting in on the action, visit haveagameplan.org to learn more.
A numbers game with Gil Alexander.
We sure you like
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem Sports Talk is on the iMedia One Network, Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway Club Fitting Center, and an Odyssey Fitting Studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Western Reserve Radio is the Valley's online source for sports talk and local live events. Tune in and be a part of their live weekly shows, as well as all of the hard-hitting action of Youngstown Phantoms hockey, high school football, and the GDFL. Find them at westernreserveradio.com. Tune in and the Live 365 app to be a part of the area's sports conversation. Be sure to visit them on Facebook at Western Reserve Radio and on Twitter at WR_radio.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
It's time to kick back and listen to the sports page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia. Dave Clark is on his way in, and we have got Super Bowl to talk about here on Saturday morning sports page. Western Reserve Radio is the station you're listening to. 330-707-4202. Get in and talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here, and here is Western Reserve Radio. Oh, man, a lot to get to today. A lot happening in the world of sports. Surprisingly, this week, with all the Super Bowl hype and what's going on, the NBA kind of stole the show front and center. And with the big trade, kind of rocked the NBA. Definitely rocked the people in Dallas. Lucia Doncic, their future, to be blunt and to the point. They decided to trade him away to the LA Lakers for Anthony Davis. And I know there were some other parts of the trade, but that's basically the bulk of the trade. That's the only part of the trade that really matters, is when you get down to the impact in the NBA. It'll be Lucia going to the Lakers. He is injured. He's got a strained calf. He hasn't played, I believe, since Christmas. And AD had some minor injury, and he was out, which in the NBA, I've come to the conclusion that most of these players just don't play. They play now and then in the regular season, and then they pretty much get ready for the playoffs. 30 teams in the NBA, 20 of the 30 make the playoffs. So you kind of do the quick math on that. Unfortunately, has kind of rendered the NBA regular season useless, but it is what it is. And obviously, once the Super Bowl is over, which will be finally here Sunday, we'll start looking at the college basketball and then looking at the NBA as that kind of rounds into shape. A big college game last night. For those folks out there that are following any kind of college basketball, St. John's, who was down and out, well, I shouldn't say down. They were down and out until they hired Coach Rick Pitino. They won last night. They beat the defending two-time champion University of Connecticut Huskies 68-62. St. John's overall record now is 21-3. They were kind of not, they didn't get in the tournament last year. Why? We don't know. The selection committee decided to kind of, let's get blunt to the honest, screw the Big East. And in essence, they left St. John's out. And it looks like they're going to have to put St. John's in this year. So 21-3 St. John's, Rick Pitino, he will be the first NCAA coach ever to get 6 teams in the NCAA tournament. And if you want to know, he started with Boston University. He got them in the tournament. Got Providence, Providence. He got them in the tournament. He got Iona in the tournament, Kentucky and Louisville. And now it looks like he will get St. John's in the tournament. So college basketball getting a little interesting now as we kind of turn our way away from football, at least in the next after Sunday. We'll be talking, though, on this show about the draft and the quarterback situation and what these teams are going to do. But we've got Dave Clark in studio. So, Dave Clark, a lot going on. The NBA trade, a lot of conspiracy theories. Why did Dallas do this trade? Guys, first, all kinds of crazy stuff out there, which always makes it great. Gives us so much to do.
Yeah. What was it? One of them probably money. They want to pay that Supermax.
That was probably the biggest one. Is that cost Luca somewhere in the neighborhood of about 115-20 million. Mm-hmm. He will not get, I don't know, the max of Supermax. He would have got
get it. You only get it with your team you were originally with, so he couldn't get it from there.
He won't get it. Mm-mm. It was going to be in the neighborhood of, I believe it was a 5-year, $350 million deal.
Right.
Now I believe it's like 116 million less.
Yes, like you get 221
million. Yeah.
Yeah, he can get 229, I believe.
Yes, 229 with the Lakers.
Yeah, if he extend with them.
Right.
So, I mean, it sets it up perfectly for the Lakers to have a guy that's younger, even though his fitness has been questioned. That's now that might be another theory. People don't look at that as why Dallas didn't want to put in that either. If they felt they see things that he's not getting himself in the complete shape that he needs to be in, it's kind of hard to invest that type of money in a guy that you don't know if you're going to have him 3-4 years down the road. He'd be, injured a lot. So, sometimes you can get somewhere else and get motivated and do the things you need to. So hopefully that'll spark something under Luca playing at the Lakers and, and being around LeBron, who is always keeps his body fit and ready to go at all times. And a lot of the guys that are on that team are the same way. So that might inspire some things in Luca. And maybe it just works out for both because I actually think Dallas is going to be reckoned with Anthony Davis down there
right now,
playing his natural position. He always wanted to play power forward. That is his natural position. He does great at center, but he power forward, he could just completely dominate. And now with them having 2 centers in Dallas, Lively and Gafford are their centers. and they are exactly like the last one's named, lively around the basket. They can score. They can do everything, rebound, block shots. That opens up things for Anthony Davis offensively. He's still going to be defensive menace. So that just definitely strengthens Dallas too. Yeah, I think it helps both. It open the floor up for the Lakers. It definitely opens it up. So, in a little caveat for the Lakers, that Mark Williams that they picked up from Charlotte is no joke. He's a young guy, but he can absolutely play. He can score, he can rebound and block shots, and that might have been a little steal getting that guy. They might not want to give up Dalton Connect, but they had to give up something. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, yeah, right now, a lot of the analysts are saying this really puts Dallas up front and center with
try to make a run towards
make a run.
Yeah, get up in the mix
toward the NBA in the playoffs. Obviously, we're still about a good month and almost quite two. Yeah, we're about 2 months from the playoffs. Usually middle of April, so we're a solid 2 months away. So there's obviously in the NBA a lot of basketball to be played.
Yeah. Let's see what Golden State does too with Jimmy Butler coming there. Really, they had to play in situation now, but you don't know what they may do in these, like you said, these next couple of months. Could maybe move up to the 7th, 8th spot or anything like that. So
right now
they're about 10th or maybe 11th.
Actually, yes. Right as of now, today, Golden State would be out of the playoffs. Sacramento would be in the playoffs. Sacramento sits at number 10. They have the same record, but evidently Sacramento has a tiebreaker. But Golden State is sitting at 11. So, and we get into this every year. These teams are just so on top of one another in these standings at this, especially when you're looking between 7 and 10, 7 and 11.
Right.
There are 3 games separating these 5 teams. Right now, the LA Clippers, and they're only a half a game out of the 6th spot, Minnesota Timberwolves. So these teams, there's a little bit of a gap, though, between the Timberwolves and the Lakers, 5 and 6. 2.5 games. That's the gap. But the point is, there's so much basketball left, and these teams are literally on top of one another. Golden State could work themselves in, and they're only, this is this is what I love. Golden State's only 3.5 games out of the 6th spot. They're out. Yeah. They're only 3.5 out of the 6th spot where they wouldn't even be in the play-in tournament.
Right.
So, I mean, in the West, it's like literally, and the East is really not much. It's about the same thing. I mean, there's a gap. The 76ers right now are out. They're a game and a half behind the Bulls. Bulls sit at 10, Sixers are 11. If they get Embiid back and they could get him to play due to his injuries, I mean, his problem is more, and it's always been, that's why I don't understand people questioning Joel Embiid's desire to play. If you look at his history, his size, his body can't let him play because he doesn't, his body is either it's an issue with his bone structure in his feet. Yao Ming had that, where that body can't move up and down a court 82 games a season and take that pounding on his foot, his knees, his joints. I mean, just have to work and get him in when he can play. And the Sixers now, they're, obviously in the playoff hunt, but these teams are just really on top of one or two. Miami, there's probably a little, maybe, but probably not. Detroit Pistons, who were awful last year, are sitting in number 6 if you break down the NBA real quick. But the East is an absolute tight window there as far as between 6 and 11. So these teams can all go somewhere. Someone gets on a winning streak and they can move right up in these standings. So these trades are big because ultimately a Dallas now can realistically get themselves, they could actually, right now they sit at 8, but they're only 2 games from the Timberwolves at number 6. Dallas can work themselves
right up in there
out of the play-in tournament and they could potentially work themselves easily into the 6th seed. They're 4.5 behind the Lakers, who have the 5 seed. There's a little bit of a gap there between the Lakers 5 and 6, Lakers and Timberwolves. But again, there's so much basketball left to play.
It's a lot. There's a lot left. There's a lot of things. They did things. A lot of surprising ones. I actually thought Jimmy Butler, I thought that was dead. They wouldn't be going to Golden State. I didn't know what was going to happen, but it worked back out for them to get there. They need another guy that can make big buckets in big moments and play defense. He's a guy that could do it. So long as and normally he is when he's ready to play and locked in, his attitude is right. But once he gets down with the team and not working right, he's done. He's completely out.
Yeah,
and that's how he is. That's how he was at Minnesota. That's how he was at Philly. Yeah, once he dials out, he dials out. But when he's dialed in, he's a monster.
Yeah, once, like you said, once he checks out, he checks out.
Oh, yeah, it's done. Yeah, he's out.
Yeah, he's not coming back.
There's no in between with him. It's either he's out or he's in. And when he plays with teams, when he was with Chicago and was locked in, he was locked in. Once he got dissented there, he was out. So hopefully, I'm sure he's excited and everything. So this is going to be a nice run to watch down the stretch here. With both, usually we just talk about the West, but with both. Now we got the West and the East.
Yeah, both you got the West and the East right now. Cavaliers have the best record in the East at 42-10, and Oklahoma City Thunder are the best record in all of it, the NBA. They're one game better than the Cavs as of this morning. They're 41-9.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, that's a great move.
And that's a very good team.
Yeah, the Cavs made a great move in getting Hunter from Atlanta. They you talk about a team that loaded up on young talent, but this guy, Hunter, can play. So he averages around 19, 20 points a game and almost near double figures in rebounds. That's just give him more versatility up front. They're loaded, I'm telling you. And the Knicks missed out on Kevin Durant the last hour of the thing. They almost had the deal done in the trade and having Kevin Durant coming to the Knicks. And then it fell apart.
It fell apart right at the end.
Yeah, at the end. Because they wanted a little bit of some other things, and Knicks said, no, they can't give up a couple of those other assets just to destroy their team. They had everything set perfectly, and then they asked for one more thing late, and then they just said, nope, that's it. We'll go with what we got. They're playing great anyway.
Yeah, they're great. They sit at number 3. The way the landscape on the East Conference lays out, Cavs number 1, 6 games behind them is Boston. Mm-hmm. Knicks are 7.5 behind the Cavs, only 1.5 behind Boston. And then there's a drop off, and the Pacers are sitting at number 4. They're 12 games away from the Cavaliers, and they're now, if you do the quick math, they're 4.5 away from the Knicks. So there's a gap there. Mm-hmm. So right now, the Cavs 6 games over Boston, looking good, playing great. Boston will have probably the 2 seed. The Knicks still have a shot at that 2 seed. Mm-hmm. And they're only a game and a half away from Boston for the 2nd seed. So a lot of kind of great drama going on with this NBA. And this is the part I always love to talk about now. Is you just start looking at the way the landscape is laid out and these teams in the playoffs and where they are in the standings, the 10.
Yeah. And they play, I watched a couple games this week. The intensity level is a little bit different
Starting
than it was
to
early.
Tweak up.
Yes, right before All-Star break. It seems like that's when it happens. They get the little break. And when they come back from All-Star break, it's on. That's the real season then. All the way on.
It picks up.
Yeah.
Because, all teams have played roughly 50, 51 games, some maybe 52, but they're all in that ballpark. And now they've got 82, so now there's 30, roughly less than about 30 games left.
Yeah, that's a college season.
Now
they're ready to go.
Now they're ready to go.
Yep.
And this is the part of the year, it seems like football, we'll have that over with Sunday. Super Bowl's finally here to play, and all those side stories involved there. And we'll talk obviously about the Super Bowl here coming up. I thought we'd just open up a little bit with the NBA. And then we'll talk, obviously, the Luca trade to Dallas, to LA. I thought there was a very interesting, though, and I heard this and I'm reading it now, these conspiracy theories of why they made these moves. I love this stuff because it's just pure, it's just absolutely pure guesswork. And speculation through the roof.
Yeah.
But the one that I kept hearing, and I heard this a couple times from a couple different, this theory is interesting. The Mavs are plotting a move to Vegas. I don't know if you heard this one. This is the one. Now, the owner of the Mavs is no longer Mark Cuban. Right. So anyway, the Adelsons own the team. Evidently, they're trying to get, gambling is not legal yet in the state of Texas. They're trying to get gambling approved in Texas. So, as evidently the legislation down there did not approve it this time around. However, they're going to meet like in 2 more years. The owners of the Mavericks are hoping that what they want to do is get that approved for casinos and gambling. Then they want to build this beautiful arena in, somewhere in Dallas area.
Right.
Then they can have a casino in the arena with the team. So people can go there and bet and gamble.
Oh, yeah.
And you could probably bet obviously you could bet Dallas and probably bet if the guy makes the free throw or not.
Right. Oh,
you could probably do in-game betting.
I'm sure of that.
I'm sure they'll have all that. And that the owner is saying that's what they want to do. And if for some reason Texas doesn't approve it, they're going to pack up and go to Vegas and do that. And then they'll have an arena built in Vegas, and they don't have to worry about a casino. They could have that, and they can have everything they want in Vegas if Dallas doesn't work out.
See, I heard that, not about Dallas, but I remember on TNT one night, Barkley and Shaq and all, they were talking about teams maybe looking in the future to move to Vegas just for that purpose right there, the gambling and everything. And I remember Shaq kept messing with Barkley and said, "Are you getting ready to buy the Mavericks?" Oh. You getting ready? Because if they have gambling, they said Charles Barkley would be the primary owner of the team.
Yeah, Charles has.
I was laughing, but they was talking about that. They said that if they do that, a team may want to go there, but they didn't name any names. They just said that's an open market, and they seen how much. The Raiders always had a big time worth to them just because of the legacy of the Raiders. But when they went to Vegas, they said the amount of money on what they're worth went way up. And they said the only other place they could have done that at was Los Angeles, to make their worth go so far up. But they went to Vegas, and they said NBA teams started looking at, that'd be a nice spot to go and make the worth of our franchise, these owners, because they thinking about money all the time.
Oh, that's all they care about.
So it's a good possibility that somebody moves in that market.
Well, this story, which I just find this so. I love this. That's so funny with Barkley.
Yeah, I just glad that's Shaq. Only Shaq can bring that to them too.
Only Shaq could say that and get away with it.
Yeah, they come up talking about it.
Because Shaq's got Shaq sometimes doesn't have a filter. He just says what he wants and makes it so. That's what makes that show on TNT absolutely must-watch TV. Sadly, it looks like they're not going to have it after this year because TNT's not going to get the contract for the
and
TV.
I didn't know if moved, at first I heard that they were going to move them right over to that. I don't know if that happened or not.
We don't know. That seems like that's up in the air.
Yeah.
But if they could keep that, I mean, I've listened to some talk show people that actually just say, they actually because they don't really care that much about the games right now, but they'll watch Shaq and Charles and Kenny on that show. If they really watch the game, but they'll tune in to watch just the show because they want to see.
It's like a comedy show.
It's like a 3-ring comedy show. And Ernie's in there being the straight man, and he's like he's the best. He's like Carson. He sets everybody up, and then they just go at it. It's just great comedy, and those guys are just so hilarious to Shaq. And Shaq just stands. He's got the glasses. He mumbles sometimes, and then they look at him, and then he says what he wants to say. And then Charles starts Kenny, and it's probably one of the best shows.
Yeah, pre-game shows.
Pre-game,
post-game.
Post-game.
All of it. Yep.
On any sport.
Halftime,
any sport.
Yeah.
Football. I don't even care about football, but I like to watch that because those guys are just, they make basketballs. They make the sports so entertaining.
Yeah. And I actually have watched just that. Like the game come on TNT, I wait.
Yeah.
I watch it before. Then when it's halftime, I watch it.
Put it in. Right.
Yep. That's how I do it.
Right.
Just to see what they're talking about.
Well, they actually say this gets a little bit more detailed. They talk about sports gambling is illegal in Texas. 30 million people living in the state of Texas cannot gamble. So the Adelsons plan to build the so-called Venetian Dallas. But it can't go forward unless the Texas government reverses a stance it's held for decades, which is you can't gamble. Right. High-level lobbying efforts, Cradaville, who wrote this article, points out, haven't worked yet. So the lobbying efforts are trying to get this pushed through are not working right now. Experts paint a very bleak picture for the Adelson and the gambling backers in the upcoming vote in 2025, even if it gets to the Texas Senate floor. So it's being held there.
Yeah.
Much of the decision is held by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who has refused to play ball on sports gambling bills due to a distinct lack of support among the Senate GOP. So without any momentum, the Adelsons could, in time, go to their plan B, which is move Dallas to Vegas, because it seems to me the owners, the Adelsons, are really more focused on gambling than they are basketball. They just, Cuban had the team all those years, but he sold it to them. He still has a minority share, but they're looking at it. They want to get the gambling, and they want that so they can get it approved, put a big, beautiful arena with the gambling in it, and everybody can go to the game and either.
You think they would move with knowing the desire of that family?
Yeah,
just from what you hear, if they're not going to do it in Dallas, you almost look like that'd be a done deal.
Yeah,
moving to Vegas.
Yeah,
I think just go ahead and move it now. Let's go ahead and go.
Well, I won't. At this point, nothing surprises me.
Right,
and I personally think, but I don't know why Dallas just doesn't, go. Why don't they just approve gambling? Because it's just everywhere. I mean, it's FanDuel,
all those things,
all those betting sites. Yep. They're in the arenas. They're in the game.
It's everywhere.
You could go everywhere. You can bet.
Yeah, I don't get it. What are you waiting for?
What are you waiting?
I mean, at first you started thinking, I don't know about this, but once it's done where it's at now, I don't understand it. It's just like some of the gambling sites I've seen them showing like prize picks. It's not, you can't do it in Ohio. Okay, but all the others are. I don't know what they're waiting for.
Yeah, what are they waiting for?
I don't know.
Because you got everything else in Ohio.
Yeah, everything is going. Just do it all. You might as well now. That's what it is today. So it's a different time we stay in today. So, they're still trying to hold tight to that. But I believe the Mavericks would. I can't see them staying there if that's a desire of the owners. And that's what they're looking there in their future, what they want to have there. Are they going to wait 3, 4, 5 years to find out whether it gets approved? That's kind of hard to see because that doesn't mean anything. It's going to we brought to the table, we said this year, right? Then it got to go to different avenues to go. So that could be 2 years down the road.
Texas, and this is put out by the Dallas attorney, Chris Cradaville, on viral social media. He put this post together and saying that he's a lifelong Maverick fan. And again, he's got this theory, which to me makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
We're back with the Dump and Chase podcast on the broadcast.
Yeah.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. Take one.
Behold the angry giant.
Try it again, Alberto.
Behold the angry giant.
Perfect. Good luck tonight.
Behold the angry giant.
Yay! Read me another one, Dad.
This is WWE superstar Alberto Del Rio. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
What do basketball, choir, drama club, and marching band all have in common? They're all high school activities that offer learning opportunities not necessarily found in the classroom. They take up just a fraction of a typical Ohio high school's budget, and they go a long way to giving young people the tools they need to thrive. High school activities, they're more than extracurricular. They're extra important, too. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Saturday morning sports page coming right back at you, 330-707-4202. Before we get to the call on hold, bring it in. But I just want to throw this out and then we'll take the call. Ryan Day, Buckeye coach, signed a contract extension through 2031, which now gives him the average salary of $12.5 million per year. Oh, by the way, the buyout now is $80.5 million. So when he loses next year to Michigan, they'll pay $80 million. Let's hit the phone. Right. Okay. We had the caller. Lost the caller. Caller can call back. We'll get that. But anyway, the whole point of it is Ryan Day has the new contract 2031. It says it makes him one of the highest three highest paid coaches in the let's see. Let's get Irish Mike back.
Yeah,
there it is. Let's see. Okay. Let's go. Let's try this. You're on the sports page. What's up?
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Dave. How you guys doing?
Hey, Irish Mike. What's happening?
Hey, I have a trivia question for you guys. In the last 7 days, which fan base is more irate from what happened last Sunday and Monday? The Dallas Maverick fan base or the Cleveland Browns fan base?
Cleveland Browns.
What's yeah, I guess well, Dallas is going to be a tough out now. I don't know if the Lakers, Dave, that's a good question. Though I think, doesn't this help Dallas more than the Lakers? Or what do you think?
Well, when it first, everything they put together, I don't know, because I'm telling you,
I guess we have to watch and wait and see with this.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I had to see. I mean, it definitely makes Dallas a big time.
That's what Shaq said. Shaq basically said that, he said that this puts Dallas in the conversation of.
Oh yeah, it does.
Maybe getting back into the.
But the X factor for the Lakers, like I said, is this Mark Williams kid. If you get a chance, I guess he'll suit up in the next game. Probably they just had to finalize some things. But once he gets to playing, acclimated, he's too athletic, score, and he can protect the rim. A young guy like that is what they need behind two guys that can play from the perimeter, where LeBron can do that and he can post up. So can Luca. He can post up too. A big body, a big guy. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Got to see how that works together, but that's going to be something. And the way the Lakers are shooting now, they actually got shooting
shooters.
It's
be interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting for both teams.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting.
But I'd say Cleveland the worst though, because when you lose chance to lose a Myles Garrett, and then you got guys like Denzel Ward saying, "Hey, that's my guy, Myles. I want to play with him, but if he's gone, I got to start looking at my situation, see if I'm out."
Here's what I don't think they don't have to trade Garrett.
No, they don't have to.
I don't know and I don't know if they're going to.
No, I don't think. I mean, well,
he might want it, but I don't think they're going to. I don't think they're going to trade him.
I don't think they would trade him, but if he's definitely disgruntled and it's causing an issue where he's not playing to his top, it's better because you'll mess up the entire situation at your team. And they already said what it is, though. They said they are frustrated with having an opportunity to get to the playoffs and a chance to play for a championship when the main thing, their biggest problem, is at the quarterback position. And if they don't see where they got a quarterback that's viable enough, and I was reading that article, if you look, yesterday's article they had out when they was talking about Denzel and Myles Garrett, it doesn't have to be a superstar quarterback, but a quarterback that's competent enough to do what they need to do. It can be a great game. All quarterbacks are game managers. I don't know why they call people game. All quarterbacks are game managers. It's just some can put things on their back and do other things. So they all got to manage the game. But if you get a competent quarterback, they got enough talent to do a lot of things, the Browns. They definitely do. But they always be playing by those quarterbacks they had. David Njoku was the one that was, he said the quarterbacks we had played behind, that's not going to work.
No.
So they need something.
You know what's interesting, gentlemen? In both these cases, with the Dallas Mavericks in the NBA and the Cleveland Browns in the NFL, the one theory that, I've only seen a few writers touch upon in the last 6 or 7 days, in both cases, that ownership, in both cases, want to move their team. Like, for example, American Airlines Arena in Dallas is old and outdated. Yep. Guys said they wanted the new owners. Cuban's out as owner. He sold a year and a half ago. People forget that. The new owners want to bring a casino down the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And guess where they want the Mavs to play? Right inside that casino.
Yep.
And so they're pushing hard for that. They've been pushing hard the last 12, 14 months and said, well, sometimes you get things by taking a step backward. We're going to, the Oakland A's are going to move from Oakland to Sacramento, now to Las Vegas in a few years. if we have a lot of empty seats, we can get what we want as far as we're not being successful, we're not winning, so we can move where we want to move to instead of saying they want to hold this guys over the NBA. And I saw one writer read about this. They want to hold over the NBA's eyes. You know, the Mavs played in the finals last year. It's one of the top 5 markets in America, Dallas-Fort Worth area, that if you don't give us what we want, we're going to pack our bags, we'll move to Las Vegas and become the Las Vegas Mavericks.
Yeah.
Kind of like what the Oakland A's did, but they're too successful, and they had a superstar in Lucia. People think this writer believes he did this on purpose, so they want to become bad in 2 or 3 years, the ownership to get what they want as far as making money in the future. Yeah. Moving the casino in Dallas-Fort Worth area, and or eventually, if you don't give us what we want by moving that casino in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, then we'll just simply move and relocate to Las Vegas.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, the thing they've got.
The Browns with Brook Park, Pat. The Browns, Jimmy Haslam clearly wants to build that dome in Brook Park, correct?
Yeah, and the city is fighting them on that because they don't want them to move it from downtown.
My point is, both owners in Dallas and Cleveland have ulterior motives to what they're doing right now in regards to making money in the future. Not now, but 5 or 10 years down the road, they can make a windfall of money.
Yeah, well, I think they'll have to get rid of. Unless they just have a catastrophe of injuries, Dallas, as long as you got the way Anthony Davis has been healthy the last couple seasons, and a Kyrie Irving, you're going to be, not going to be terrible. You're just not.
The argument to that, where some people go, well, Dallas is going to be a bad team. No, they're not. They're going to be a good team because Davis is going to be like the rim protector and the player they needed. You know, Luca didn't play much defense, and rumor was they didn't want to pay him the big fat contract extension.
Correct.
So I think
he would make Pat starting next year. He would make $69 million a year.
Yeah, basically, roughly set right.
Yeah.
5 years, $70 million per year, roughly.
Correct. Yeah. So you definitely. That's why I said they had to do what they had to do there, and it's going to.
I mean, I don't know. Luka doesn't play defense. He's a great player, but he does have, pitfalls to his game.
And putting Anthony Davis at his natural position because their centers are good enough.
Right. Their centers are good enough.
Gafford and Lively are very good. So
that's where everybody's saying that Shaq came out and the other analysts said, whoa, this puts Dallas in the discussion. And right now, you look, Dallas is in the play-in tournament, and those teams are on top of one another. Dallas could play themselves out of the play-in tournament, get into the 6th seed easy.
I think they will get
and they probably will with this now makeup. Luka wasn't even playing for Dallas. He was out with the strained calf, and I believe the last time he played was like Christmas. He's been out for over a month. So now you have Davis, and Dallas has been hanging in there with no Luka.
Yep.
And now you have Davis in there. And
like I said, when you get a chance, well, I know you will now watch the NBA a little bit more.
Yeah, you're not right.
Watch the guys I'm telling you about in Gafford and Lively at center. And just watch. Like I said, the one guy's last name is Lively, and that's what he is. He's a rim protector. He can score. He got low post moves. Same with Gafford. That was a steal when they got him from the Wizards anyway. I don't know how they did that. And to have those guys, they go in and out. Now you got them still coming in and out with a guy with Davis. You actually could take Davis out of the game and play both of those guys because they have done it before. They could play them. Their front line is unbelievable. And that's going to be major problem. Now you got it where Kyrie is the main facilitator and vocal point of the backcourt. I just think they're going to be dangerous.
I have a question for you, Dave Clark. Do you believe, LeBron said he was out to dinner about midnight on Saturday night in New York City after they beat the Knicks in Madison Square Garden, and that he found out at dinner about the trade, and he was shocked as anybody. Do you buy that one or no?
Yeah. Guys I've seen like Kevin Garnett came out and said, Garnett came out and said he knew. This is the first time I really think he didn't know that they were going to do that. I really believe he didn't know this time.
Well,
do you think had management told him a week or so ahead of time? Do you think they think he would try to block it because him and AD are such good buddies? Do you think they thought he would try to block it?
Oh yeah, yep. I think he would try to do something because if they went to him and started talking about, he did too much to get him there.
Right.
You know what I mean? He went out of his way to get AD there with him. And then all of a sudden, just let him go and seen how he was just talking about how much he's been how he's been healthy and how well he's been playing when he's on that court. He's just dominating. And he said it makes his job easier for him to facilitate and do. So for that to just come up and say, okay, we'll take Luka, who hasn't played in a month. He's not going to be down underneath somebody that you're both going to be playing out there where you both demand the ball and stuff like that. So this is something. I mean, I think they could play with each other. I definitely think that. But how effective are we going to be? We got to start getting continuity all over when we start to play so well. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I really believe this time he did not. Like Kevin Garnett said, he knew and signed off on it. No, I don't believe that.
I don't like he knew.
Not that time.
Luka did not know.
No.
Either.
No.
Well, here's
Anthony Davis did not know.
He didn't know. What you have to remember, a couple things, is they didn't shop around. Like Dallas got with the Lakers
that facilitated that, right?
And they just got together. Pelinka and the Maverick GM
Harrison,
are friends.
Yes,
they've got history together. They're good friends. So, and that's what people were freaking out because he said you could have got a better deal if you shopped it around in the NBA. But I really think that they just basically said, no, this is the deal. Let's just do it now. And they kept it hush hush.
Yeah.
If they would have shopped it around the NBA, word would have got out. Then you would have had all kinds of problems.
That's why I think Irish Mike is correctly right when he said
they did not.
They didn't want LeBron didn't know anything because he might try. Because if he did it, like you said, they put it out there. We're going to shop him. Then LeBron's wondering, okay, what is y'all plan? We're playing well.
Right.
We're trying to get there. Now you're trying to break this up?
Right. We're the 5th seed, only a game and a half behind the 3rd seed, Denver. I mean, when you look at the standings, the Lakers, way they were playing, they could have actually played themselves into the 3rd seed very easily.
Yeah.
So bottom line is now the question's going to be, I think this is going to be more of a trial for the Lakers to figure out than the Mavericks, because AD fits better with the Mavericks right away, where Luka and LeBron are both ball-centric. They both want the ball. So the Lakers have something to work through there because Luka and LeBron are kind of the same player and that they're ball-centric, where I think AD fits really good with Dallas, as you just said, Dave.
Yeah, that's right.
Davis goes back to his favorite position as power forward with Dallas. Yeah. So he's like, man, this is fantastic. And Dallas has been playing pretty good without Luka.
Yeah, and I'm not comparing Anthony Davis, believe me. I'm not comparing with this guy because this is a model of consistency at power forward. But the same situation, I'm saying. Tim Duncan was unguardable at power forward. He played center too sometimes, but when he played power forward, there was no answer.
Right.
And all the guys, all the greats say they didn't like playing against this guy because you couldn't rattle him, you couldn't do anything. The guy to score. When Anthony Davis is playing power forward, there's no answer.
No. He's a matchup
what power forward is going to stop him? None.
No one's to stop him.
He's going to be killing him.
So this is actually, at least initially, this is an upgrade to Dallas. Because Dallas, I bring this up, but Dallas with no Luka is still sitting at number 8, and they're only a game and a half out of the 6th spot play-in spot where they wouldn't be in the play-in. Dallas can move themselves right up into the top 6 teams with Anthony Davis and get out of the playoff tournament. And that's what I keep thinking is Dallas is 27-25 with no Luka. This team's been playing pretty good. Well, now you give them AD.
Yeah. And I respect.
Minus the game last Sunday afternoon in Cleveland where they completely mailed it in, right?
Yeah, they did.
I mean, that's a typical. They're 82 games. That's why I don't get real work.
Was that right after the trade? Was that right at the trade, Irish Mike, or something?
Yes, that was about 10 or 11 hours after the trade was announced.
Yeah, so I can see that just a complete thing fall apart.
My buddy went up there and took his kids, and I actually texted Pat that I felt bad for him. He was unhappy the Cavs won because it wasn't very entertaining because they didn't guard anybody. He said he was disappointed. Their lack of effort by the Dallas Mavericks. So they just went through the motions.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, because they didn't
score 91 points because we're on fire. We're great offense. The other team's helping.
Yeah. And I think about the Lakers. You want to know how dominant Anthony Davis was. at the power forward. When the Lakers won, even though it was in the bubble, but he didn't play center. They had Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee, and I think they had one more center too. They rotated them guys to allow Anthony Davis to play power forward, and there was no beating the Lakers in the bubble. And they were killing them, and then Howard was still athletic enough to do what he needed to do. JaVale McGee, all the guys, he couldn't do anything with that. And I don't understand why the Lakers never did anything to duplicate that.
Think about this, gentlemen, too, and please correct me if I'm wrong. You talk about play-in from the East and play-in for the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference. I'll just give you two teams, okay? Out West, the Dallas Mavericks who you're talking about. Imagine if you're the Oklahoma City Thunder and you get a healthy, ready-to-go Dallas Mavericks in the first round, like, say, the 8th seed. You know what I mean? Like, because, they take some weeks to learn how to play together, blah, 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 but eventually they get together by late March and they get in and they become your first-round opponent. And in the Eastern Conference, imagine if in the East that you are the Cleveland Cavaliers are the number 1 seed, and finally they get it together and they get the guys, and you end up playing the Philadelphia 76ers in the first round.
Which you could.
If you're Oklahoma City out West playing Dallas and you're the Cavs playing Philadelphia in the East, you could get knocked out in the first round.
Potentially.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's possible.
By
very
teams
easily.
that just kind of, as Lucia said, for a 6-month regular season, kind of bounced around and try to find their way and fight through this, that. It's a long season, and Pat, I've been a sports lover forever for my whole life. I do, as a sports fan, I don't take the NBA regular season very seriously, and I very rarely watch a whole lot of games. I think about this, guys. They talk more about trades in the NBA, like Luca for AD, than they actually talk about the games.
Oh yeah, no, that's basically that's proof. Oh yeah, there's no doubt. There's proof of that they care more about
the Darren Fox trade to San Antonio. They talked about that. I'm saying in the NBA, the trades and free agency is more attractive than the actual games are. In November, December, January, February.
Right. I don't think they started like I told Pat the week before, like now, before the All-Star break. And then after the All-Star break, then they get into it and really discuss the games like they should. But before then, they just go through the motions.
No, they're going through because everybody's focusing on football.
It's like baseball. It's too long. It's a long
season. 82 games, a lot of you can blow a game here, there. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You start paying attention after the NBA All-Star game, and that's done.
Right.
That's when these teams start looking at
get to it. Then
where are they? And they got 30 games left, roughly.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're down to they've all played 50 to 52 games. So you're down to, let's for the discussion say about 30 games left. So after the All-Star game, when is the All-Star break? What is that? Next weekend?
Yeah, this is the last week.
All right.
Last week. Play up until Wednesday, I think.
Wednesday. Okay. So they're going to have about 50 they're going to have roughly 30 games left after the All-Star break. Maybe a little less, but there you go. That's where
the real season.
The real season really starts getting. They crank it up.
But it works out perfectly for us, the fans.
Oh, for the fans, that's perfect.
Football is over.
Right.
Now you got March Madness.
Right. March Madness is coming up.
The NBA.
Good game last night. St. John's beating UConn. Great game to watch. At least I couldn't believe I was kind of getting into it. I saw Ohio State beat Maryland Thursday night. They came back and won. Looks like the Buckeyes may try to get an NCAA bid. The Big Ten is just so wide open.
Yeah.
It's very competitive. It's a great conference, but so is the SEC for basketball. So there's a lot going on in college basketball. So with football being obviously this Sunday, it'd be done until the other league starts up.
Yeah.
Which isn't too far up.
Think about this, Pat Lucia. For years now, the NBA has had their All-Star festivities over President's Day weekend. It's a long weekend for some people, the holiday on the Monday, et cetera. Now, moving forward, the NFL gets to their 18-game regular season like they want. They want to make the Super Bowl the Sunday before President's Day. So, because traditionally, isn't this Monday the largest called-off day around America for companies and corporations the day after the Super Bowl?
Yeah, what they want to try to do is make Super Bowl President's Day weekend. Because that Monday is the day off, and then that way everybody.
Nobody be at work on the 10th. You already better start getting some replacements.
You're already
not coming.
Yeah, nobody's working.
Nobody's coming this Monday.
And I was watching the local. I was watching the local news, and they've got a dietitian on telling people what don't overstuff yourself. Don't drink too much alcohol. This is, maybe consider drinking near beer or non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah.
Or, they're telling everybody.
They're doing everything you said.
Right. It's almost like New Year's Eve, only it's the Super Bowl, and it's comparable to New Year's Eve, probably even more so, where people are going to go out or go to somebody's house Sunday, watch the game, but then watch how much you drink and how much crappy food you throw in your mouth as you're watching the game.
It'll all be going on tomorrow.
Right.
And they're not coming Monday.
No. And everybody's going to be basically, 3 sheets to the wind, and then they're going to wake up with the brown bottle flu on
my last year working after the Super Bowl last year, the year before last, and I came to work to the school, I couldn't believe how many teachers were there. It was so many subs in the building, I couldn't believe it. I said, boy,
you guys get a real quick care of this story. This was about 3 years ago. My wife's family is from Ravenna, and her aunt passed away, and we had to attend a funeral for her aunt the Saturday before the Super Bowl. And I think it was before the Rams-Bengals game. And a very popular restaurant, been in Ravenna and downtown Ravenna forever, named Guido's, had a fire and the building apartments above their building on a Monday before the Super Bowl. 6 days before the Super Bowl. And long story short, when there was a lot of damage to the restaurant, not much, but and when the owner found out, he said, "How long is it going to take?" He said, "Well, the contractor said it'll probably take them about 2.5, 3 weeks before they can open back." And he said, "I need to be open this Sunday. What can you do?" And the guy said, "Well, if you want to be open, I can have this done by Saturday, but I'm going to have to work guys around the clock, literally different shifts, 24 hours, blah, blah, blah." And the insurance company agreed to it.
Oh, yeah.
They had that thing open by Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
It took them all around the clock. But he said, "I need to be open a day for Super Bowl Sunday."
Super Bowl Sunday. Right.
The pizza industry guys, people don't realize the Super Bowl, the effects it has on the economy for the pizza industry. I have friends own a pizza shop. They're going to close up their shop at 9:00 tonight, and they'll be back at 3:00 in the morning tomorrow morning and start rolling dough.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because they're going to get deluged with orders out the You talk about takeout, especially pizza, but the Super Bowl Sunday is just takeout orders are blowing up through the roof because that's what people do. Some people probably do cook, but the bulk of the people are ordering it out because you're having people over, and wings and pizza are
very popular.
Very popular.
Right.
And gentlemen, it's true. Some of these pizza places don't even take orders on Super Bowl Sunday.
No, some don't. You got to pre-order it. Hey, Irish Spike, I wanted to pass around. Ryan Day has a contract extension.
Yes, I saw that. That surprised me.
Well, here's my question. A friend of mine asked me this question. What do you think the tolerance level of Buckeye fans? Oh, by the way, the new buyout is $80.5 million. Okay. That's the new buyout. 80. So that's the Jimbo Fisher buyout, $80.5 million. If the Buckeyes want to buy him out. So what do you think the tolerance level of Buckeye fans are going to be if he loses it next year at Michigan? You think they'll all be?
Well, how about this, Lucia? How about this? Opening day is Saturday, August 30th. They play the Texas Longhorns in Columbus with Arch Manning, right?
Yeah.
And that's a game they could lose. Let's be honest. They're a very talented roster, but as our friend on Fox Sports said, Joel Klatt, he said, remember, Ohio State, out of their 22 starters, 15 of them were seniors or fifth-year seniors. So this was a very, very veteran team.
Oh no, this is a rebuild to them. I mean, you're realistically
still a very talented roster, but it's guys have really not played a whole lot.
Yeah.
And here's your other question. You need two coordinators. You need an offense and a defensive coordinator. And then you're going to have all these.
Brian Hartline on Thursday. Brian Hartline, who's never been an offense coordinator before, is now OC.
So he's the OC. Then you got to go find a D coordinator, and you're going to have all new players that haven't started. Now they have second
string quarterback that's never taken probably a saying kid who's a 5-star, but he's never played.
Right.
You're not opening up at home against Akron, right?
Right. I mean, that's right. You got Texas, right?
Yeah, that's what they open up.
Gate, baby, you're gonna get one of the top 3 teams in the country right out of the gate.
Yeah. Yep. We'll see if
the nice thing it's in Columbus. That's a nice thing, but you know what I mean. It's just it could be As we all know, you can lose 2 games now, but you just can't lose 3. So if you say to yourself, if we lose in Texas, then we can't lose between there and Michigan, because if we take on another L somewhere, then the at Michigan game becomes a 100% must-win game to make the playoffs.
Right.
Boy, yeah.
You can lose 2, you can't lose 3.
No. And it gets you ready for it already.
Like, some of my Buckeye brethren lose their track in memory. They're getting on the McCord kid who went to Syracuse and left and ripping on him and stuff. And, McCord, blah, blah, blah. He said we couldn't. Look what we did win the national title. McCord played under different rules. We only had a Final Four last year. Okay?
Right.
Yeah, Ohio State lost at Michigan, the Big House last year, and it cost them a chance to be in the Final Four. Okay?
Right.
They lost at home this year to Michigan as well because of the tournament went from 4 teams to 12 teams. That's why they made it.
That's why, exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's exactly why they made it.
So don't throw McCord under the bus and say that kid's rotten now.
No.
That's
you
right.
made it based upon circumstances.
Yep, I had a discussion with somebody, the same thing. I said, if the rules was the same last season,
Buckeyes are out.
Buckeyes, well, they would have still been in it.
100% out. Not
even
a discussion.
If they would have had the rules that they have this year, would they expand it?
Correct.
They would have been in it last year.
Yeah, they would have made it last year.
They would have made it last year.
100%.
100%. So you got to look at that.
Right.
They wouldn't even be in it.
Right.
If it was like it was.
Back in 2014 when they beat Oregon for the national title, but then when they beat Alabama and beat Oregon, without a Final Four, they would have not been in the Final 2 that year, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
a great
they would
finish.
have.
That's right.
Hey guys, have a great weekend. I gotta get running.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks. That's it. Halftime. Back after a quick time.
Youngstown, Warren, and Salem's local and national sports talk can be found on TuneIn and the Live 365 app at Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Welcome to Calvin's Barbershop.
You all got to see this.
I don't even want to know what you're looking at on that phone.
Well, you should. I was learning about the dangers of high blood pressure and that we need to get ours checked regularly. High blood pressure can increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, but this text program can help keep it at a healthy range. Just text Barbershop to 97779 to sign up.
I'll get right on it as soon as I'm done with this baby panda video.
Text Barbershop to 97779. A message from the American Heart Association and the Ad Council.
Lena's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard or call 234-254-8532.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia. Dave Clark, 330-707-4202. Super Bowl next in the next few hours, it seems. 12 what are we? 24 hours and change, I guess, add 6 o'clock. So Super Bowl countdown.
Yeah, it's in 30 hours.
30 some odd hours, whatever. It can't get here quick enough. But I guess the thing, what I thought was interesting is the NBA actually kind of jumped the Super Bowl, which I thought was kind of nice. Because I'll tell you what, I know the 2 weeks is good for the players, but I mean, and it seems from listening to some of the talk show, there doesn't seem to be a lot of like crazy interest in this game because it's a rematch. There is some interest, but even the radio row, there weren't as many people down there. And then I think what I thought was a plus is the NBA kind of, with the big trade with Luca and Davis, kind of like blew up kind of the Super Bowl stuff.
Well, yeah.
And everybody was talking about Luca going to the Lakers and then, the whole conspiracy behind that. And that gets everybody rolling about Dallas and the casino deal. And are they going to put, they're going to get the gambling approved for the state of Texas so they could build the Palace, the big casino with the Mavericks playing because the old arena, Dallas's arena, is getting old. And if not, they're headed to Vegas, and that just adds to all of the intrigue. But then that puts the Super Bowl kind of the side because everybody was talking about then, Luka didn't know, LeBron didn't know, Davis didn't know. No one knew about this thing. I mean, I was shocked. I pulled up, typical morning, I pull up and go, what the heck is this? And then at first and then there were other people saying, is this fake news? Initially, people thought it was fake news. I've heard like analysts around there go, I didn't really believe this. I didn't believe this story. I'm looking around thinking, okay, wait a minute. This is some kind of, bull.
I did because it pop up. You ever get those things that pop up and say trade, but it'd be like, anticipate if they did this, if they did. If. So I seen it. I didn't even pay any attention to it. And then later on, I said, let me just look at it and I started reading. And then I seen, and I went, let me see, NBA News. That's why I went. I said, let me. And then when I went to NBA News,
it was there.
And it was there. I said, oh, no, this is real. And I could not believe it. I really couldn't because you don't see it a lot.
No.
Two superstars that they trade them. You don't see that too much at all.
You never. This is rare. And
it's rare.
It's not never, but it's rare. It's very rare.
Yes, it's rare. And then they come. They didn't lose the limelight. They had that going for a little longer. They just kept talking about Luka and Davis. And then you bring the Jimmy Butler thing that was over.
Right.
It's in there. And with it being Golden State and their popularity and Stephen Curry, that's been a talk. So it's just.
Durant was supposed to go to Golden State.
And it fell through.
The deal was because Durant said, I don't want to go there.
Yeah,
Durant was the one that kind of poo-pooed gold. He said to them, I'm not going there. I'm not going to Golden. I don't want another reunion with Golden State for whatever reason he's got. But the word was Durant said no. The deal was done. And when that deal fell through because Durant wasn't going there, then it went to the Jimmy Butler because everybody knew that Butler's time was up in Miami. That's been realistically goes back to last year. And we knew that was over. And then Butler's just being the obstinate Butler by being bad and not going to, he's being the bad kid, the spoiled kid that's not going to do what they're supposed to do and show up late for meetings or show up late for practice or not go to practice and get suspend Butler.
Yeah. You can't do that with Pat Riley. Pat Riley's still old school.
Riley's the old school guy, man.
You don't care what superstar he will suspend you. He'd do anything.
He's just a tough old guy.
He is.
Schenectady to New York is where he's from, and he's just a tough guy.
Yeah.
And he has the rules, and he's old school.
And he stayed with it, and he don't care who it is.
Nope.
He did the same thing with LeBron there.
Yeah.
Things he wanted. He stopped him when it went to a cert. He didn't let guys.
LeBron wanted Spoelstra fired. Rumor has it.
Yeah.
And, Riley just told him, no, you're going to play for, he's my guy. He's the head coach. No. You're going to listen to him because he's the coach. And Riley has the rules that he abide by his rules and no one's above that. Right. And that's the way he is. And Butler was going to be the obstinate, not show up, and said, Riley says, fine, you're suspended. And he kept suspending him game after game after game, which you knew then they were going to. And then what really got under Butler's skin, Riley wasn't going to give him the extension.
Right.
Because I think Riley was done with him and he was done with Riley. So it was just a deal. Well, they were going to part ways. It was just whatever trade they worked out. And then now Butler is a goal. But Golden State gave him the 2-year max extension that they could give him.
Yeah.
So
See what happened here.
So we'll see how he goes with Golden State and Steph Curry, who are right now outside looking in by one game, or not even really a game. They're the tiebreaker away from getting into the playoffs. And with 30 some odd games to play, now Golden State has Butler. That could be what they, that might be put them over the edge as long as Butler. Now Butler's been hurt a lot. Yeah. Now, one may speculate that Butler was hurt because he didn't want to play.
Yeah.
And now he may get healthy.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to be healthy immediately.
He
just wasn't playing. That's
right.
All.
He just wasn't playing because
that's all. That's all.
Well, this started last year.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and hit the phones. You're on the sports page. What's up?
Mr. Lucia, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good. I have a question about the Cavs for you guys.
Shoot. Go.
I want to know if you think that this trade that the Cavs made getting Hunter from Atlanta is going to mess up the team chemistry.
No. I say no to that one. Just because of the type of player Hunter is. When watching him at Atlanta, just seeing that he's an all-around player, more of a team-friendly type of guy, same way he was when he was at Virginia. And I just think that's just a guy that's going to play at the top level. And then putting him in the front court with those other guys they got.
Said. This is going to make them better.
I think they're going to be. I think
if that's
this is
possible,
a force.
Yeah, this is going to be
a force. This is a great job.
This is a sleeper trade.
Yep, great job. For
this is a sleeper trade.
Yeah, I don't think he's one of them disruptive guys that ever come in and like just try to change things and everything with the team.
I mean, the whole thing is interesting. I mean, one, because it's not a typical Cleveland trade because they have control of him for this year plus 2 seasons.
Right.
And then you find out who his best friend is. Hunter and Ty Jerome not only were teammates at Virginia, but they were roommates. The guys consider each other best friends.
Yeah. And you think that Jerome didn't tell him, hey, if you guys are thinking about getting him, you got to get him because the guy is just a stand-up team player. And that's how I remember them being in that. They were in the Sweet 16 for sure. It might have been in the Elite 8. I can't remember Virginia that year. But Ty Jerome and him was dynamic in that. And the guy was just a team player. He wasn't a guy, hey, give me the ball. None of that. He had to go and rebound, do what you needed him to do, play defense, and he can score from the outside and the inside. And we know what he could do on the inside. I'm sure Wembley knows just what was it last week when he dunked over him. So he's a guy that I just couldn't believe they got him. I couldn't believe Atlanta let him go. I just didn't understand it.
And the interesting thing about it is, I mean, he's the first player in the NBA in like 15 years to average over 19 points coming off the bench. I wonder what he does in Cleveland.
I know. It's just, and he'll just blend right in with the other guys. But it makes them a force. I hate them losing LeVert because he always plays so well.
Player.
He's just a guy that does
but you gotta give
worker, but you got to give something up. You have to. So,
I mean, I won't quote what the Rams like to say about, first round draft picks, but trading all these twos and the fact that the Cavs don't have a first round pick until 2030, I think they have opted to that philosophy where let's win today and we'll worry about 2030 when it gets here.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, when you look at the way the Cavs are, you got such a young team. And the draft choices to me are always such a crapshoot anyway.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, most of these draft choices are 19 or 20-year-old kids that need to be developed to 2 to 3 years anyway.
Yep.
So you're almost to the point where, then you got to, if you draft a kid, he's not really going to break this lineup or really break to play that much. So you're going to be relishing on laying on the bench. It's almost like you really don't need the player.
Because look, Cleveland's good, Mark. And so you think their first round draft choice would be down the road, and it would be a project type guy.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that top 3, that guy that might come in and play right away. You get a guy like Hunter, who's been in the league a few years.
Right.
He's already said he's a veteran, but he's young. And now you got him. That would I rather have him or a draft choice? I'm taking him every time.
Now, Hunter just turned 27.
Yeah.
So
right. I mean, what a 3-and-D guy he is, because he's like 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah, he's 6.
He's got a 7-foot wingspan.
Right.
He can play multiple positions.
Right.
And guard multiple positions too. So
he's got that long body, 6'7", 225. He's long, he's thin, but like you said, the big wingspan can play. And he, coming in off the bench, it's just going to, the Cavaliers have just, upgraded. I think it's an upgrade to a team that's already going in the right direction. It's really a good team now. You got better.
Yes.
And what's going to get?
I will say, as much as I like this trade, guys, I have a soft spot for George Niang. I'm going to miss him coming off the bench and trying to, tick off everybody on the other team like he does every night.
Yeah, he does do that.
Yeah. You're not going to have that.
You don't have that now.
And they've got DeAndre Hunter's salary he's under contract. It looks like for 3 years. He's got him for 23.
This year and 2 more. So he's going to be able to stick around for a while.
Right. And you're only paying him $21 million, $23 million, $24 million. So the salary's not bad. And you're going to get a really high productive player coming in, and he's in his prime.
Yeah, for sure.
He could play. There's no doubt. Like you said, you take what he's been doing, averaging off the bench. It's just, I think this could be potentially, because I think those teams are so close, Boston and Cleveland. This could be the type of player that could just put them a little bit past. Could make the Celtics series a 7-game series nail biter with a player like this. It just may raise the talent on the Cavalier just a little bit better.
Yep.
And now you got Boston and Cleveland, I think, talent-wise, closer together.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a steal.
Yep. Be ready for it, Mark.
Yeah, be ready.
Playoff time.
I think that's going to be great playoff season with this year, especially with the Cavaliers.
Oh, yeah.
Getting DeAndre Hunter is going to help the team and make that team just a bit closer to Boston. And it's going to make the playoffs this year almost, must-watch TV.
Yep. It definitely is. So like I said, I'm more geared. I'm locked in a little bit more now because it's I watched this week's NBA. I was in it. The trades got me going. So I wanted to see what things going. I watched LeBron play like he thought he was still 20-something when he went off of 42. Yeah. So I'm watching that. I'm watching these games this week, just seeing the great talent around the league. And now after the All-Star break, I can watch that, and then I get ready for March Madness. Sprinkle a little UFL in there just to get some football.
You're going to get your football fix coming up.
Got to get a little bit of that in, and before you know it, it's summertime.
It's summer.
OTAs is in.
Yeah,
we'll be broadcasting. Semi-pro football. Then it's high school, and we're right back to it again. So it comes quick. Yeah, I always look forward to.
All right, it doesn't take much. No. I don't really get in to the MVP. Josh Allen got the MVP.
Right.
I know there's people that are just vehemently upset that Lamar.
I just think they didn't want to give it to him again or whatever.
Yeah,
that's all.
It's like if you look at numbers, Burrow had the best season, but he wasn't getting the MVP because he's on a lose. They weren't a losing team, but they didn't get into the playoffs.
Right.
So I just never get into arguing MVPs because they don't really give it to the real MVP half the time.
Right.
NBA didn't give it to Jordan every year. They should have. They couldn't. They don't want to do that. So they rotate other guys in. So, and it's such a, there's no hard, fast rule on why a guy is an MVP over another one.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go statistical data, Burrow should have been the MVP based on statistics, but Allen's stats were in the middle of the pack, or Lamar Jackson should have been the MVP because he had way better numbers than
Allen. Right. But they say, well, because he had Derrick Henry.
Right.
But this is the thing about it. What does that mean?
No, it doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen had Cook. We didn't look for Cook to do it, but Cook had a great season, led the league, and I think rushing touchdown, and he rushed for like 1,300 yards. Had a great season. He was a big factor in their team. I guess they say because he didn't have all the receivers. Well, really, when you look at Baltimore's offense, they didn't throw like that to say who is his big-time receiver. He didn't really have no big-time receiver, when you look at it, and then you count in his rushing and things that he did from that perspective, then, he's the guy, again, really. If you're looking for completely just a quarterback position, just playing the position of quarterback, then I give it to Joe Burrow. If you look at that. Yeah. But if you look at a guy that facilitates a team doing everything, I'm giving it to Lamar. Even though I say, Josh, you're right there, but I'm giving it to Lamar again. But I think they do that. Yeah, I can't give it to this guy all the time.
You can't.
That's why Jordan didn't get it all the time. That's why, Bird or Magic, they just switch between whoever.
They always rotated.
Yeah, they can't do it.
No, and that's why I don't put value on most valuable player.
I figured Josh was going to win it.
Yeah,
as soon
I thought
as
so
Buffalo beat Baltimore,
it
was over.
That was over.
If Andrews catches that ball and go to overtime and Baltimore wins, then we'd have seen Lamar with that trophy.
Who's the tight end for Buffalo that should have caught the ball? Probably they win the game against Kansas City. I can't remember the name.
It wasn't Knox, was it? No, it wasn't Knox. This season?
Yeah, the game.
Yeah,
where.
Yeah. That's right.
That was a catchable. He should have caught it.
Yeah, it's Kincaid.
Yep. If you catch the ball, they probably beat Kansas City if he catches that ball.
Right.
He doesn't catch the ball, they lose. It's a catchable ball, and that's what always cracks me up with these games. I wanted it kind of opens up the door how we did with our picks overall year to date.
Let me ask you something before you even put that. Let's say Saquon Barkley would have played against who was they playing the last game of the season? Giants. Let's say he played against them and rushed for 240 yards.
Yeah.
Who gets the MVP then?
Saquon. I think Saquon deserved it anyway. If you ask me flat out who should have got the MVP, looking at the way those teams played and the difference, I would have said Saquon Barkley deserved the MVP, regardless of playing in that game or not. But you're right. If Saquon Barkley plays that last game of the season and goes for 250 yards against the Giants, which is probably what he would have done, easy.
Yep. Well, LaShawn McCoy said his picks would have been Saquon, he plays and gets that. He said he really could have been anyway, but just like you said, he said, I'm either giving it to him or I'm giving it to Joe Burrow, even though he didn't take his team to where they could have, but that was we're looking at an MVP award. What he played. Right. He played MVP football.
Right. I agree with that.
So those was his two picks.
I agree with him. I agree with McCoy. I think he's right. I think you give it to, I personally thought they should have given it to Saquon Barkley if you're going to give it to somebody. Yeah. Joe Burrow probably would have been second, or Lamar would have been second. I would have given the award to Saquon Barkley because of what he did with the Eagles. That put the Eagles in on a different level.
Yeah.
And
there's no question about it.
He just is an unbelievable player. And I would have handed the MVP to Saquon Barkley, not even hesitated.
Yeah.
But they don't, and that's why I really don't pay a lot of attention to awards.
Yeah, I don't.
Is because sometimes you make an argument the most deserving players don't get them because he's a running back. They don't want to give it to a running back. They make it a quarterback award for some reason.
Yep.
But if you take it the MVP for a legitimate, it's Saquon Barkley. But that didn't happen.
No.
And yeah, I agree. I think if Saquon plays that last game and goes for
he breaks
250 yards and breaks the record, which he probably would have got 250 against the Giants. God, he might have got 300 yards against the Giants.
He definitely would have got the.
He would have got the record.
Yeah, 100 and some yards.
He would have got that. He would have got that at halftime. And that's the thing. Saquon Barkley would have had a career. Yeah, against the Giants, he would have had a career day. He blows the record, goes right by it. And maybe they would have given him the MVP potentially, or maybe they would have had to think a little bit before they handed it to Josh Allen, or they give it to Allen anyway because that's who they were going to give it to start.
I think they wanted him to have it.
Right. I think that what happens is they have
still a great quarterback.
He's a great quarterback,
but
if they don't run the quarterback sneak, Buffalo to me. You ran the quarterback sneak to the left side, and they knew they were going to do that. And there was one player that said, if they would have run it to the right side, he probably gets like 10 or 20. He might have gone for a touchdown because we were overplaying it.
They say they picked it up in the film study.
In the film study.
And on the first time they did it, the guy said they're going to shift on the defensive right side.
Romo called it.
He said they've been studying it. They're going to shift to that side and plug it up. And they did. So when they get it a second and third time, they did the same thing.
They do it again.
Over and over. Why would you do that?
And Romo's calling it. Romo's, this is what they're going to do. This is, Romo's doing the game. I got to give him credit. He watched it. He said this, and they did it.
Right. And he said theirs is different from Phillies. Phillies is straight ahead.
Right. Phillies.
Everything is compact. Right. You know what's coming. Right. You got to stop me. Yeah. But they try to do this unbalanced line and to the left side and get them in there, and it didn't work. No. That doesn't work. They overloaded that.
They said that if they would have run it to the right side, he probably goes for a touchdown because they were not expecting that. That's like, I mean, I know there's people upset with McDermott, the head coach of Buffalo, and this is one reason why they get mad at him is because it's like, don't you use some kind of being more creative with that, like realizing that you do this, they know the film, do something different, like just because.
But you know what? I think sometimes I'm a fault.
Or it's the offensive coordinator's fault if you're going to blame.
That's why I think sometimes the head coaches, they really trust their offensive defense coordinator and they let them call it. But there's times when you got to step in and say, hey, did you see them overload to that the last time? We cannot go with that play. If you see the overload, switch it. Have a change of the line or something. And if you don't step in, you're going to be the guy that's going to be the scapegoat, the head coach. They're going to be all over you. Right. They're going to be hating you. But
you're the guy.
They ran it about 3 times.
I know.
To the same thing.
The same time and didn't get it. I mean, Buffalo fans, you got to be crazy in that. This has to drive you crazy. You could have beat Kansas City. That game was so close.
Oh yeah.
And again, you come up short again, and Kincaid drops the ball that he should have caught. And that was, they catches that ball, they probably go on and win the game.
And see, they get to realistic find out how it is for a tight end to drop a ball when they won. Because of another tight end dropped the ball the week before against them.
Yeah.
And Mark Andrews.
Andrews dropped the ball.
A guy that does not drop the football. Dropped an easy one.
He dropped an easy pass.
Yeah. And I thought about it. Lamar was on itself because he said, I really should just kind of like fired it in there. And he said, I just tried to lay it in there. And he did. That's what he did.
You
nice
and
soft
lay.
But it was a catch that was perfect. It was just laid it in there.
Laid it in.
And he just didn't grab it.
Shades of Jackie Smith of the Dallas Cowboys. 1979 Super Bowl.
I remember that.
I watched the highlight of that.
That changed everything in that game. I was a big time Cowboys fan. If he catches that game, I think they beat Pittsburgh.
No, they beat Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they beat them there.
I remember that game like it was yesterday.
Oh my goodness.
79 Super Bowl, where I was when I was watching that game. And
people don't know. Me and you watched football for a long time. They might say, well, who the heck is Jackie Smith?
No,
Jackie Smith was a great tight end
with the Cardinals.
Oh man, that guy was unstoppable.
All pro, great
every
player.
Year.
Yep.
Catch everything in traffic, tough, strong, take any kind of hits. He might have dished some out sometime to people. Mm-hmm. When I seen him drop that, I said, "Oh, I know his career's over."
Yep.
Because that's something that and it did. He didn't come back.
No, it was done.
I thought he might play another season. No, he's done.
No,
took it out of him.
I watched the highlight the other day.
When they, showing all the Super Bowls.
I had it actually on my computer, and it was on Facebook. They were throwing. I got a
Super Bowl.
Yeah, I watch they throw these little reel clips.
Yeah,
and that was one of the real clips of that Super Bowl and Jackie Smith dropping that ball. Highlights of the set. It was the highlights of the 79 Super Bowl. Steelers 35-31 Dallas, and they show that play. Of Jackie Smith dropping that ball wide open in the end zone.
Yeah.
Ball perfect pass.
Yep.
And it got in his hands, and his hands were like dropping, like moving, and he just couldn't grab it. It was a perfect pass. It was one of the best tight ends in history.
Yep.
And just a bad day or a bad play for poor Jackie Smith. But again, we saw it. 3 weeks ago with Mark Andrews, and then with Kincaid with Dallas on a ball that he caught. He should have caught that ball.
For Buffalo, he should have had it.
You should have had that. I mean, you can't blame Josh Allen for that. He made a hell of a play because he was being rushed and he threw kind of off the back foot. He got Allen's the gun for the arm, but he threw it and he threw it perfectly where it needed to be. And Kincaid should have caught the ball.
Yeah.
And they don't. And that's the difference between a team losing and winning. And that's why when you look at our picks, you for the year, Dave Clark, was 147 right, 130 wrong, and 7 pushes. I was 145 and 132. I was 2 behind you.
Right.
I guess I should have went with Philly and KC last week, and we would have been tied.
Right.
But when you watch these games, and that's why I'll go right out, picking games to me, maybe there's some skill, but you have a lot of luck in there.
Oh, yeah. It's
you got a lot of luck.
Yeah. A lot of different things.
A lot of different things. The team could go for 2 and not make it, and you would have won if they get the 2-point conversion, but you lose because they didn't get the 2-point. That's not skill. I mean, I don't care what people say. You got these guys on TV saying, no, that's not skill. That's just flat out luck.
Yeah.
If a guy makes one play, there's there's no skill with that. That's just, you got to hope the guy, but he could drop the ball and you know.
Yeah, I just think when you pick a game and say I'll take somebody and you get 6 points and I beat you by 14, I think that's a great pick.
That's a great pick.
But when it's been tucked into the
when
stomach,
you lost by a hook,
yeah,
because the guy missed the extra point.
Right, that's the thing. You don't factor that in.
No. Fourth quarter coming up. Saturday morning sports page.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
The Mahoning Valley's leader for golf, Milk Creek Golf Course, is now booking tee times for 2024. We offer stay and play opportunities available with 9 area hotel partners. For more information, visit our website at millcreekmetroparks.org. Also, look for new, exciting opportunities coming soon, including an indoor player development center with Trackman, an indoor Callaway club fitting center, and an Odyssey fitting studio in 2024. Follow us on Facebook at Milk Creek Golf Course or call 330-740-7112.
Hiya, Queen of All Knowledge here, reminding you, creeps out there on the internet hack, scam, and trick savvy cyber users every day, but we can fight back. It's as easy as IC3. If you're a victim of online crime, don't give up. Visit IC3, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. Your tips help the FBI track down cyber criminals around the world. Report your crime to www.ic3.gov today.
Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. We were talking. We were just talking to the Hall of Famer Bob Gessler. He's the Hall of Fame coach, high school coach. We stick him in our Hall of Fame. We should have a Hall of Fame. We should just make our own Hall of Fame.
Might as well.
Why
not?
Call it the Sports Page Hall of Fame. Hey, I like that.
Yeah.
We could start putting people in the Sports Page Hall of Fame.
I mean, we should be able to, in all honesty, we probably could do that with high school sports, our college guys. We talk about, honorary.
Right. Yeah, we should just do it. Unfortunately, Eli didn't make it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame this time around.
Right.
But this is what cracks me up with the Hall of Fame. I love it. We didn't want to put Eli in on the first time around because we really don't think he's a first-time Hall of Famer, but he'll get in later on.
Right. Well,
what the hell is that?
Well, that's what I said. My friend Dane, who been on our show years ago.
Yeah, Dane. I remember him. Yeah.
And he said he never understand the criteria.
No.
You're not a Hall of Famer today.
No.
But in 2028 or whatever it may be, you are one.
Right.
Now,
what's that?
You never carried the ball again. You never threw another pass.
You never did anything.
But you.
Right.
And I said, yeah. I said, because they all can't go in at the same time. But that we understand that. But don't make statements like that. That's a dumb statement.
Don't make a stupid statement.
Why would you say that?
I don't understand.
We don't want him to go in the first time because he's not a first.
Because he's really not a first time. First ballot. First, he's not a first ballot. I guess that's first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, then okay.
Okay, then fine.
Then they should have tiers of the Hall of Fame. Then first ballot guys, and if you're third, fifth, 10th ballot, then that's when you went in, and define it as that if you want to. But I just wouldn't have made that statement because this is what I thought. When they say, would he go in first? I didn't think he was going to go in. My own opinion. At first, it all depended on how many was going in, who was going in. And I said, he may not go in when he go in first, but will he make the Hall of Fame? I think he will. Because why wouldn't he?
He get it.
When you look at the stat, now, if you just look at overall stats, you might say no or something like that. But I think those things has been changed. And when I say been changed, they've been changed since way back in the 60s. And the reason I say that, if Joe Namath can make the Hall of Fame,
right?
Was he a great passer? Absolutely. One of the prettiest balls you ever want to see. But he never had great stats.
Nope. His stats are not good at all. When you look at his stats,
they're not great at all. Great. But he did that because he was such a pioneer to the game. He made the Hall of Fame. Gale Sayers, one of my favorites. Yep. Great, but because of the injuries and the short career,
shortest career,
he wouldn't make it. But and I think that's what it should have been. It should have been some kind of level of you got to make this amount of yards, this amount of completion, and if they didn't make it, they don't get there. But you never made a conclusive things like that. So when you have a guy like Joe Namath, and there's nothing against him, great, but he was a good, very good player. But you can't leave Eli Manning out. How can you leave him out and got Joe Namath in? There's no way you could do that. So he's going to make it.
He'll get in.
Doubt. Yeah.
He doesn't get in. I don't know why they do this, but for the record, for those that didn't know, Eric Allen got in.
And I thought he should have been in a couple years ago.
He should have got in a couple years ago.
He hasn't been. He's been waiting.
Jared Allen got in, and a great rusher. Okay, yep. Antonio Gates definitely just should have been in long before. Gates was unbelievable.
And he was a basketball player, if people want to know, from college.
From college, Kent State.
Yep.
And then finally, they put Sterling Sharp in as the senior, which that's criminal because he should. I was so happy for Sterling Sharp, but he should have been in long time ago.
And I know
he had a career cut by injury
because of that neck injury.
Because of the neck injury, he had to get out. But when you look at his number, he's definitely a Hall of Famer.
His career, he was dominant every year.
Dominant.
Dominant.
Unbelievable.
Him and Favre, just ridiculous.
Right.
And then that neck injury.
The neck injury ended his career, but he
was healthy. But they said, if you play, you can get permanent paralysis.
Oh yeah, no, he didn't have any choice.
And he said, I'm not playing.
He had to retire.
Yeah. So,
he was just an absolute yes. So I'm glad Sterling got in. Gates definitely should have. I have no problem with the guys that got in. Now Eli's fine with everything. He says,
he's going to be fine.
Eli's
I think he'll be in next season.
Yeah, Eli's totally at peace with Hall of Fame admission. I heard what he said. He's like, whatever. He's fine. So. Eli will get in probably next year.
Yeah.
Deservedly so.
Well, did Torrey Holt make it? He didn't make it, did he?
I don't know. That's a good question because I thought
that's
Torrey
another
Holt
guy that every year they just go past Torrey Holt.
Yeah. No, he got in college, but he's not in the pro, which makes no sense.
Because he had a great pro career at the
He
Rams.
had 920, and he had over 13,000 receiving yards. He had 74 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah. No, he was absolutely.
And he was beast. He basically played 11 years.
Yeah. He was that What was it?
Get in. You see, this is the stuff
that Warner and all those guys back then. That team was unbelievable.
That was unbelievable.
And that guy was a big time player at big moments. There's no way he shouldn't be in there. But it was. But we done seen it. We done seen. Look how long it took for them to really say, okay, let's put Terrell Owens in there.
Well, T.O. should have been in, but T.O. was, T.O. kind of was the one that always got the press involved. But you know what?
But that, I really don't think that should matter.
That should never matter because T.O., but you know what you always said with T.O.? When the game was on, T.O. played hard. And T.O. gave 150%.
All the time.
And he played the Super Bowl on a broken leg and played great.
Yep.
So, I mean, T.O. always had the drama, the diva stuff.
Yep. And that
had nothing to do, but when it was time to play, T.O. never took a play off. He blocked.
Right.
He was one of the best wide receivers in the game.
Yeah.
In between the line, and T.O. should have never had to wait. They had him waiting for a few years.
Yeah,
I could look it up, but T.O. had to wait, which was wrong because T.O. should have been in right away.
And it's all because of the writers.
The writers.
We don't want him, we don't want him. He gave us a lot of headaches, so they don't go in. That's the funniest stuff that I ever heard of. And all the Hall of Fames get me with that. Same thing with Barry Bonds in baseball.
Well, Bonds won't get in because of the steroids.
Yeah, but
A-Rod won't get in.
He was a Hall of Famer.
He was a Hall of Famer before steroids. Anyway, sadly,
A-Rod too.
A-Rod, but
man,
again, they're not getting in.
No.
Well,
people still consider them Hall of Famers anyway.
Right. And like
real historic and that really like him, they still.
And Pete Rose is not getting into the Hall of Fame, even now that he is passed. Rest in Pete Rose. But Pete was his own problem on why he didn't get in.
Yeah.
He created his whole own problem. Not related, but he just won't get into the litany of things he did, but leave it at that.
He did a lot of things.
Did was his own worst enemy.
Right.
How he handled everything.
Yeah.
With the suspension. And he kept it going. And
Barry Bonds has faded off into the...
No, Barry Bonds is gone. I mean...
He doesn't bother anybody. He's faded
Barry
out.
Bonds is gone from the public light, and I think he likes it that way.
Yeah.
And the sad part with Bonds is he could have continued to play and the league didn't want him anymore.
Right.
Bonds still had a couple of years. He could have been a designated hitter in the American League. There was talk about him going like to Tampa Bay or a couple teams in the American League and be a DH. And I guarantee you, if you put Barry Bonds down in Tampa Bay, even as old as he was, he would have still probably hit 35 homers, 40 homers easy in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
He still had some left, but no, he was done. They were done with him.
Right.
He brought baseball back. That's the whole hypocritical thing with baseball. Is
they wasn't trying to stop any of that.
No, they knew what was going on. Selig knew they were doing roids. McGuire, Sosa, because they had to get the game back because of the strike year in 94.
And they got it back.
And they got it back. And those players, Sosa, McGuire, Bonds, all those guys brought the game back. And there's people out there, a good friend of mine still says baseball was better when they were on steroids. It was better to watch. There's even a 2.5 Men. There's a 2.5 Men episode where it's titled "Baseball was better with steroids" or something like that. But anyway,
it was. So, I mean, I was intrigued watching all the time.
Right. So it is what it is. But the Hall of Fame, congratulations to the 4 players that deserved it.
Yeah.
Definitely Antonio. All these guys were more than deserving to get in.
Then Luke Kuechly made it.
No, not this time around. Only 4 guys made it.
Okay.
It was only that was the smallest class
in a long time
since like 2005 or 2006.
Okay.
So Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp, one of my favorites, is in.
Yep.
And I couldn't be happier for Sterling Sharp. I still love that commercial he was in with Dennis Hopper. When Dennis Hopper was the fan, it was a commercial. I can pull it up. It's hilarious.
Okay.
And Sterling Sharp.
And I know I've seen it.
Yeah, you've seen it. I'll pull it up and watch it, but it was a great commercial. Sterling Sharp's in it. And he was the Green Bay Packers then. And Sterling Sharp is a great wide receiver. And I'm really glad he is in Gates. Yeah. And both these, and the Allens, Eric, Jared, no relation, but they're in, and I'm happy. That's a great thing. So, And Eli will probably get in next season because they didn't want to put him in this season.
Right.
Because they don't really think he deserved to be a first ballot, so they'll make him next year's ballot.
Yeah.
Anyway, the game. Let's look at this game. I mean, Philadelphia, if I look at this game, it's 1.5. KC lays 1.5. Obviously, it's playing in New Orleans, neutral field. We know that. 6:30 tomorrow night. Doesn't seem to have the juice other Super Bowls have had. Maybe because it's a rematch from a couple years ago. I know there's a lot of folks that are chiefed out, tired of the Chiefs.
Yeah, and a lot of them got this feeling that, well, the refs is going to be with them and it's going to.
Oh, then they had that whole. I didn't even. We didn't open up that door. I heard that all week.
I never like making excuses for our team. So I didn't have Philly there before.
No.
Cheering them on, they lost. It was a bad call, but it's other things that could prevented them from winning at the time. You had that Hurts fumble early in the game, all kind of different things. So I don't like to try to make an excuse, but it was a bad call.
That was a terrible call because the problem I have with a call like that holding call, which realistically was kind of a cheap call, and you're normally in that situation, you keep your flag in the pocket.
Yeah,
let the game play out.
Mm-hmm.
Let these don't call a cheap hold. That people are like, what? That doesn't look real. What? Yeah, he grabbed them. Well, he do that every play. Why are you calling it now? Yeah. That was the problem too. Drives people crazy. He's a referee. Right. Same thing.
On both sides.
Both sides. They let the game go. And then in the fourth quarter, they call plays that they aren't calling in the first 3 quarters. That's what drives everybody nuts.
Yeah.
Is the inconsistency with the referee. So, you can get into all of the crap with the referees. And now it came out, and I know Goodell was talking about it. And I'm thinking to myself, this is what we're doing is we're talking about referees, but people are upset because they think Kansas City gets all the calls. So again, I think a lot of it is people are chiefed out, as they keep referring to. And so they're finding something and they're hoping someone else wins.
And that is, when you think about it, the argument you have with the Chiefs is the same one I heard with New England.
Yeah, same thing.
The same thing I heard with the Cowboys back in the day.
Right.
Any of the teams, they, especially when they have a run, they're just cheating for them. I mean, that's just the same thing. So that's why I don't like to, base it on that. But, but we know we can handpick some things out and say, hey, that's terrible call. The playoffs, Houston got some terrible calls against Kansas City, that stuff that really didn't happen.
No.
And when they showed it, they got to be able to use that type of thing to say, hey, call that off. That wasn't a helmet to helmet.
Right.
Different things like that. So, just terrible calls. So I would hate to see Philly lose on something like that this time.
That's what I hope.
So I'm hoping that they could play a game and win it.
I want Philly to win because I really want to see Saquon Barkley win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I definitely want it.
I'm a Giant fan, and the funny part with Saquon Barkley, and I'll go out on a limb and say, I would say a lot of the Giant fans, if not most all, want Saquon to win a Super Bowl. They don't blame Saquon for leaving. They blame Mara for not paying him.
Yeah, because he didn't look to leave.
No, he didn't want to leave.
He didn't ask, trade me. He didn't say anything.
They didn't give him the salary he wanted, which wasn't outrageous.
No.
And they could have done it, but they let him go, and he went to Philadelphia, and he shows you how great a player he was. He would have been great with the Giants, but they had no offensive line with the Giants. So he had great times with the Giants, great plays. But with that offensive line, he always struggled, but it wasn't his fault. It was, again, the team's fault. I always thought it was Mara's fault and the GM's fault for not really putting a good team around Saquon to make him really a better player. Right. I even always went on a limb. I thought with Eli Manning, those last few years, Eli was I thought, a really good quarterback, but it was the team. They never really put a good team around Eli to some extent on those last few years. So saying all that, I'd like to see Saquon Barkley win a Super Bowl because he's really a good guy. Daniel Jones is like one of his best friends. Daniel Jones goes and roots for him at the game. He was in one of the boxes. It was, and he's sitting there rooting for, because he and Daniel Jones are really good friends.
Right.
And Saquon Barkley was so well liked by the team. The players loved Saquon. And they didn't blame him for leaving. They blamed management.
Yeah, they were upset with that. And
they
Daniel
blamed
Jones
Mara.
was one of them who
Yeah.
just knew once he got his, he said, well, I know he's getting paid.
Right.
I don't know if they even promised him that or not, but he just knew he was getting paid. Next thing you know, they don't pay him anything.
No.
And they let him walk and right down the road. So
exactly. Right.
That's what make it worse.
That may put, I think, when we're going to pick the game, I'm picking Philly and take the 1.5 because I think Philadelphia has the better line. I hate to pick against Mahomes.
Yeah.
And I think that if
it's hard to do that.
It's hard. And if Kansas City is within a score, you got to, Mahomes is going to find a way of pulling it out if they're close enough. But I just think the Eagles are the better team.
If they can be dominant with their offensive line and the way they run their traps, if they do that, I think they can be really successful in this year. They got to be able to do that because Kansas City has been vulnerable to be able to run on lately. They always talk about how they stop all the runners, but as their last 3 to 4 games, they have, I think they said in 4 games, they had like 490 something yards rushed on them.
Yeah.
And
they've given up a lot of yards. They have been susceptible to the running game. And I think that's where, the Eagles weren't 2 years ago, but I've had a lot of people, you listen to a lot of the fans that know the Eagles, and they're like, no, this team is better than the team that was in 2 years ago.
Yeah,
a better team. And Saquon Barkley is kind of the difference maker. We didn't have that weapon on offense 2 years ago.
And Hurts threw the ball a lot more. Remember, him and A.J. Brown had a big season.
Right.
Now he throws it when need to.
Right. Because he's got Saquon.
Right. So it changes a lot.
So it changes the team.
Yeah.
But I think if Philadelphia, I hate to say the cliche, but as long as I think that if Philadelphia doesn't turn the ball over and they play, I think they can beat Kansas City if they have no turnovers. Now, if they start turning the ball over, that opens up the door. And Kansas City obviously can't turn the ball over either.
Right.
But I think that if this is just a mano-a-mano, no turnovers game, I think Philadelphia has the better line play, both defense, offense, that I think they can win the game. But again, I think it always comes down, it seems, to turnovers.
Yeah, and it does. It's big.
It always
you can't
is.
do it again. You can't turn the ball over
because the teams are too good. Like you can't give Patrick Mahomes more opportunities.
Right.
Ball possessions to beat you.
Right.
If you do, you're going to lose.
Right.
It's that simple.
You know what else I don't want to have? I don't want the offensive coordinator and Kellen Moore to have the proverbial brain fart. I don't want that to happen like Todd Monken did not this season, but last year when Baltimore played them, the number 1 rushing team in the league didn't run the ball, but I think they said 8 times. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, don't
run
do
the
that.
football, see what they're doing, and if they try to take it away from you sometime, maybe you could do some short passes early, but don't just go straight passing. Get A.J. Brown involved early, get them in it. If they're going to go one-on-one with them guys, you should be able to beat them. But you got to keep Saquon Barkley, big part of your offense. You're really the main part of your offense. And build off of that. Because I think if they change to something else, I think they'll lose. They'll outsmart themselves. And I think that's what Baltimore did last year. Because I think they could have won that game against the Chiefs and went to the Super Bowl. But they went to a whole different strategy and did not run the football and they lost. So they can't do that. You got to go and do what you do best. And that's what you got to do.
Use Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, that offensive line is one of the biggest and most athletic I've ever seen.
Yes, so they were talking about that. I heard someone saying that offensive line, I think the average is 360. Yeah. I'll look it up, but the size on that offensive line is just, and they're,
remember Beckham,
those
they thought was a bust, and he is very good at guard.
Yeah.
They got him in shape, and he plays great there. And that offensive line is humongous, but they all are athletic. And that's the thing that helps them so much to be able to run that ball, because they not only block right at the line of scrimmage, but they can go to that next level, and that helps them. So they're going to have to do it tomorrow. Kansas City, Spags comes up with something all the time.
That's one thing,
you got to watch him. He'll come up with something, and that defense will be ready to go to try to stop that run game. So it's going to be good. But so do Fangio, who plays a lot of zones for Philly. He comes up with stuff too. So I think this is going to be a chess match. And I think what you said is the main thing: turnovers.
Offensive line, average size of the offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles is 6'6", 338. So they're 338 pounds, 6'6" height. One of the biggest offensive lines in Super Bowl history, it says.
Yeah, you hide behind that offense.
It says here the Eagles have the biggest offensive line in Super Bowl history.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, according to what this article says.
Now people don't understand that Jordan Mailata, number 68, before he came there, he was playing rugby.
Right.
And he was a guy that ran the ball in rugby. He wasn't just a big guy out there. He was a prime weapon for the rugby team in running the football. So he gets out there now, he plays lineman, and he's just...
And Becton was the bust with the Jets.
Right.
And they got him for next to nothing. And but again, I get into this conversation. You see this time and time again where a guy like a Becton is in the tackle, and he's a great college tackle, but not a good NFL. But they put him inside, and then everything changes. But I see this time and time again with offensive tackles that get drafted out of college. They don't quite have that quickness to be
to deal with that
NFL.
edge rush. Yeah, they can't deal with that edge
So
rush.
they struggle and they get down on themselves, and there's a lot of issues. But then you get an offensive coordinator or a line coach that says, wait a minute, let's put this guy inside and be guard. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, we run right over him in the middle, and he can dominate the middle of the line. He's just not good on the edge.
Yep.
But again, I always say to myself, well, why didn't someone in the Jets feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like
you'd be wondering what are you
Eric Flowers with the Giants years ago out of Miami.
I never forget that.
They put him at he was a tackle. He just didn't have the speed, the foot speed, the technique, and he was always getting beat, and everybody got down on him, and they ended up Washington. They put him at guard. He was really good.
Yeah.
He ended up he played inside, and it was just
really
what
good.
We
couldn't believe it. I couldn't even believe it was the same guy.
Right. And that's what everyone says. Is, well, why is it that what happened?
And he was a great.
He was really good in college.
At Miami, Florida.
Right.
He was great there, but you got to look at it. That was college. Got to the pros, it's a different animal. The speed, everything is a big difference. And hey, he couldn't handle it in the pros. And he didn't. He looked like he would be a bust. But just like you said, why wouldn't you change it?
They moved Becton to the right guard from the Jets. He was a bust at tackle. He struggled. So they put him at right guard. So their offensive line is, the left tackle is at Jordan Mailata.
Mm-hmm.
Then Landon Dickerson is the left guard. Cam Jurgens is the center. Becton is the right guard, and Lane Johnson's the right tackle. And that's, according to the article, the biggest offensive line in Super Bowl history, but it's probably the best offensive line right now in the NFL. And then you've got obviously Saquon Barkley, who basically can come in, and then Kenneth Gainwell is unbelievable. When they give Barkley a breather, they bring in Kenneth Gainwell, and then he runs like a madman. And
I know he does. He does.
I mean,
they better not let him go either. I said they got to.
No,
I think he might be at the end of his contract, but you got to get him re-signed.
You got to re-sign him,
because you got to keep that guy available.
You got to keep him available. So you have. I like the offensive line. I'll go with I'm assuming we're both taking the Eagles.
Yeah, we're both taking the Eagles this time.
We were 0-2 2 weeks ago. We went with Washington and Buffalo. They both lost. I should have known better to go with Washington. Buffalo, I was rooting.
I just thought it was going to be, since it was a division game.
Yeah, I thought,
Washington was staying close, but man, it wasn't even close, man.
No, it wasn't. And they had turnovers. Washington realistically got into
they got Daniels to turn that football over.
They got the turnovers going in Washington had the turnover virus that bit them, and they never recovered. And Philadelphia is too good a team can't turn the ball over. So I think this will be a good game. I think it's a coin flip game.
Yeah.
I like Philly. I like to see Philly win it.
Me too.
I'm not a fan of their. I don't particularly like the fans of Philadelphia. They're a little out there.
I
but
love them.
You love them. I don't know. I've got one where a guy sent me a video. A friend of mine after the game.
Crazy.
The Philadelphia fan is backing his car up down like on major highway outside the stadium. He slams right into a police car cruiser.
So you keep going. He
tried to, but he got out. The cops all swarm and take him away.
That's why I like him. That's what it is.
Well, the only sad part is,
funny, though.
Sadly, he had that one student from Temple. I can't think of his name. Fell off the pole 40 feet high and died. Rest in peace. I don't know the young man's name. It was a tragic death. Yep. So again, I guess what was it? They were warning people stay off the poles.
Yeah. It's just
it's crazy.
Stuff. Insane.
Well, the Super Bowl. So, here's the deal. The Super Bowl, don't drink, don't drive, or stay sober and enjoy the game. And just be careful if you are going to, drink or do whatever, get the designated driver.
Right.
I mean, it's almost as bad as New Year's Eve. In fact, it's more so.
Yeah.
Stay safe out there. Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. Enjoy the game tomorrow at 6:30. Saturday morning sports page, Sports Western Reserve Radio.
Your home for PAFL football is the iMedia One Network, Western Reserve Radio, Western Reserve Radio 2, and City View Sportscast, Youngstown, Ohio.
Hi, this is Grace Remington for VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. A busy weekend of sports betting is ahead, and VSiN is here to help. It begins Saturday with a full day of men's college basketball with 20 of the top 25 teams in action, including Florida Auburn and Texas Tech Arizona. On Sunday, 15 of the top 25 women's college teams hit the court, including South Carolina at Texas. There's over a dozen NBA and NHL games, and of course, the weekend wraps with Super Bowl 59. For betting tips on all the games, sign up for the free VSiN Daily newsletter at vsin.com/newsletter.
This is VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Welcome to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line with host Tim Murray on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Hour number 2 of the VSiN Weekend Morning Line. I'm your host, Tim Murray, live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas. And I look over my shoulder. It's quiet now, but it won't be tomorrow. Super Bowl 59, the calm before the storm. Down there in New Orleans, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. A very nice day of college hoops. We'll get more college hoops thoughts coming up at the bottom of the hour. What does Wes Reynolds think about his beloved Indiana Hoosiers? Do they show some fight with the news that Mike Woodson is retiring? All on his own decision there, but he will be done after this upcoming season. Dusty May, the Indiana alum, comes in today. They're only a 3-point favorite, Michigan. Interesting on that number. We'll talk to Wes Reynolds. We'll do some best bets as well in this hour. Also scheduled to join us in this hour, Drew Dinsick, the whale capper. He will join us, give us some favorite plays for Super Bowl 59. We'll head down to New Orleans, talk to my buddy Joe Fortenbaugh as well from ESPN. So a lot to get to this hour as we continue to get you ready for Super Bowl 59 tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern, thereabouts. Right now, still sitting at 1 in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs. But I mentioned this at the open. Yesterday, we did see, for a slight moment there, that the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles went to a pick. So we've only seen one Super Bowl end in a pick'em, and that was the Malcolm Butler interception Super Bowl, Seattle and the New England Patriots. I would not be surprised if this game closes pick. We saw it, as mentioned, for a couple hours yesterday at Circa. It got back to Kansas City -1. We'll see ultimately where that lands tomorrow before a kick. And what's surprising me a little bit from the side and total standpoint is the fact that the over has not really seen that push yet. Now, we'll see. Today, tomorrow, plenty of bets coming in. We'll talk to Chuck Esposito, as we always do. We'll get the latest from behind the counter at Stations Casino in the final hour of the program. But I am a bit surprised to see that, knowing how much money is anticipated to be on the over, that under has crept down a little bit. It was as high as 50, down to 48.5. Do we see that buyback at some point? Do we see these books finally say, all right, let's get to 49, let's get to 49.5? We'll get to my best bets here for Super Bowl 59 in just a moment, but let's hear from some of the most important characters of Super Bowl 59. And we'll start with Andy Reid, one of the greatest coaches of all time. And he was asked about this Philadelphia Eagles defense that is tremendous, one of the best defenses out there in the game, and what they do so well, taking away the screen game from their opposition.
Yeah, they're fast, so they recover quickly. The idea in screen game is to try to get the guys to rush up the field thinking it's a pass and then dump it down with some blockers out there in front to kind of mix the run game, pass game all in one play. But these guys, they don't get caught up too much on the screen game. They're able to recover quickly.
You know, one guy that has been mentioned a little bit from a prop standpoint, I've heard it throughout the weeks, is Samaje Perine. Over under 7.5 receiving yards. Does he get involved in that screen game tomorrow night? But that is one of the props that a handful of folks have looked at. We heard from Paul Charchin. He likes under on Kareem Hunt rushing yards. Last week, we had Connor Allen on the VSiN Weekend Morning Line, and he liked under on Isaiah Pacheco. The worry and concern I would have with someone like Isaiah Pacheco, who has gone under his number, which is listed out there at 21.5 rushing yards. It's so low, right? He gets one or two big pops, and now you're sweating that bad boy out. 21.5 is the over-under for Isaiah Pacheco, who has been kind of out of sight, out of mind, and he's gone under that number the last 3 games, the 2 playoff games, and then the last regular season game he played, which was Christmas Day against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's gone under 20 in all 3 of those games. 2 weeks ago against Buffalo, against Houston in the divisional round, and then on Christmas Day against Pittsburgh. But also worth noting, Patrick Everson came here in studio last Sunday. He was out at the Westgate Superbook. He talked to a pretty sharp bettor who loved Isaiah Pacheco. So that's the beauty of the Super Bowl. So many different opportunities, so many different opinions out there on these prop bets and prop bets galore. So Andy Reid, concerned about the screen game. What makes it so challenging facing this Philadelphia Eagles defense? Well, flip it to the other side. Nick Sirianni, head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, he was asked about the Steve Spagnuolo defense that has been phenomenal. We had Alex Gold on the program last week from Kansas City, and he had a pretty good take that said Steve Spagnuolo, in his eyes, might be the first ever defensive coordinator or just coordinator to head into the Hall of Fame. He's been tremendous. Nick Sirianni on what makes that Kansas City defense just so darn good.
Yeah, as you go through any game in the NFL that you play, any game really that I've been coaching as you play, you kind of you think about the things that you did well. Then you think about the things that you didn't do well and how you can improve on those things. And so that was something that we went through when we got back from Phoenix. Hey, here's what we did well. Here's what we didn't do well. And you try to get better from those things. And I won't get into the things that were changed through the daily organization of a Super Bowl week, but there's some things that we're doing a little bit different, to try to get better from a last experience.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Nick Sirianni pointing out there is when you focus on, they've been here before and they came up on the wrong end just 2 years ago, I beg your pardon, 38-35 there against the Kansas City Chiefs. Hey, just a reminder, folks, as you are getting ready to get down on the Super Bowl, if you're looking to take your betting to the next level, playing the Ponies on First Bet, well, they got you covered from Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park to the Kentucky Derby and Preakness. First Bet has you covered. Sign up at firstbet.com. That's the number one, stbet.com. And make sure you use this promo code, VSIN200, to claim a 20%, rebate for your first 60 days up to $200. Once again, the promo code VSIN200, you claim a 20% rebate for your first 60 days up to $200. Head on over to firstbet.com today to get involved. So, man, I can't wait. I know, there's been some detractors out there regarding this rematch, second time in 3 years. And, we had that stretch in the NBA where it was Golden State and Cleveland. It felt year after year. This isn't that. And still, this is a matchup that I am very excited and intrigued to see. Yes, all Super Bowls are fascinating, but I just think this one has a lot of intricacies to it. And you think back to, the controversial end of the 2023 Super Bowl with the holding call there, which was the right call, in my opinion, on Juju Smith-Schuster. So I am not one who's all that concerned about all this referee controversy and whatnot. So I'm going to push that to the side. And I think the Eagles win this game. I really do. And we've talked about it a lot on VSiN Primetime. I think me, Matt Humans, Jonathan Von Tobel, all kind of in that same mindset. Matt and I think this game may be a little bit closer than JVT does. I believe his prediction was somewhere in that 27-17 range. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles get the victory. And that leads me into my best bets. As always, our best bets brought to you by G-Bank here at VSiN, the official bank of VSiN. And we'll start plain and simple with the Philadelphia Eagles on the money line. I gave this out on Thursday night at courtesy of Circa plus 104. Still can get even money on it. I think this is a true toss-up game. And when I break it down, yes, the ultimate trump card might be 15 for the Kansas City Chiefs. It might be the mustache man on the sidelines and Andy Reid. But when I look at running back, offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, defensive line, secondary, I think Philadelphia is better. Kansas City has better special teams. There's no doubt about it. Harrison Butker against Jake Elliott. That is a massive difference. However, indoors, maybe that helps out Jake Elliott a little bit more if this comes down to an important kick. So keeping it simple, my first best bet is the Philadelphia Eagles on the money line, and gave that out earlier this week at plus 104. Hey, folks, if you're serious about sports betting, you need the G-Bank Visa Signature Card. Most credit cards treat sportsbook and gaming transactions as cash advances, even when you put your own money on the card. G-Bank treats gaming transactions as purchases, so you're typically saving up to 3 to 5% on cash advance fees right there. Right now, for a limited time, you'll receive a $250 bonus after you spend $1,000 in your first 90 days. Apply now, vsin.com/gbank. That's VSIN.com/gbank. Subject to credit approval. Terms and conditions do apply. All right, let's run through a couple other best bets. We'll revisit them as well as the show goes on. Eagles, and even though in the betting guide I said Saquon Barkley would be the MVP, and certainly could be. He was the MVP of this team, no doubt. Finished third in the MVP voting that came out on Thursday night. I think at the price right now, give me Jalen Hurts plus 350 to win Super Bowl MVP. We haven't had a running back win MVP of the Super Bowl since Terrell Davis did it in 1998. It's been a minute. Now, Saquon Barkley is a horse of a different color. We know this Philly offense is going to want to run, but Steve Spagnuolo, as we've mentioned him a number of times, he's no dummy. He's going to make this Philadelphia team have to beat him through the air. We just heard from Paul Charchian last hour. His favorite prop bet, Devontae Smith, over 4.5 receptions. Jalen Hurts is going to have to win this game on his arm, using his legs. And I think at plus 350, that is a very juicy price for a team that has even money to win the Super Bowl. The quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, look, no offense to Trent Dilfer. This isn't Trent Dilfer with the Baltimore Ravens, right? This is Jalen Hurts, who was runner-up the MVP just a couple years ago. Also, give me a Hurts anytime touchdown at minus 115. We'll get to more best bets a little bit later, but Drew Dinsick, he joins us next.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guys in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. Be 21. Progressive knows finding your new home was a dream come true. You wanted it close to town with a picture window overlooking a yard. And you found it. Now, when you sit down to dinner, you've got front row seats too. Your neighbor's daily pickleball game. Progressive can't save you from your noisy neighbors, but we can save you money when you bundle your home and auto with us. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers not available in all states.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90%.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
This is Matt Lipsack, the voice of the Youngstown Phantoms, and your home for Phantoms hockey is Western Reserve Radio.
I think he goes for 125 yards and wins the MVP. What do you think we're going to see from Saquon Barkley?
I think he may go for more than 125. I think he's waited a long time to kind of play in some of these big games. So now's the time. I think he's going to have a good game.
Make it rain with Adam Shine. Weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on VSiN, the sports betting network. Sean Green and Ryan Kramer bring an energetic approach to sports betting to keep you entertained while sweating your bets on the Sports Gambling Podcast live at VSiN.
There is something to the idea of the smart teams might be zagging. You see all the best offenses in the National Football League have a fullback. For receivers, if you're slow, a lot of teams just rule you out, I guess. Yeah. That was what always held me back.
Join Sean and Ryan every Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on the Sports Gambling Podcast live at VSiN, right here on the Sports Betting Network.
You're tuned in to the VSiN Weekend Morning Line.
We keep it rolling here on a Super Bowl 59 Eve program. I'm Tim Murray, live from the Circus Sportsbook. Just a reminder, our content starts bright and early tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Our full lineup leading you all the way up to Super Bowl 59. We'll have live betting during the broadcast and then post-game show hosted by Matt Humans and Jonathan Von Tobel. I'll be with John Hansen, the Guru, tomorrow starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, a special prop points here on VSiN. All right, let's continue the Super Bowl chatter. Just gave out a couple of my favorite plays, and we'll see what our next guest thinks of my favorite play on the side. It is Drew Dinsick. You can follow him on Twitter at @whale_capper. He was down in New Orleans talking to everybody down there on Radio Row, his podcast, the Bet the Edge podcast, part of NBC Sports. So, Drew, I'm on the Eagles money line. What do you like in this game from a side standpoint?
I like the Eagles money line, Tim. All right. Memphis OKC. Right. What do you think about the Grizzlies Drew. And the Thunder tonight? I mean, this is a big game. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills a little bit that this hasn't flipped. I feel like, I got the original sentiment and idea of let's open the Chiefs with a little bit of a premium. That way, the volume that comes in that wants to just plug and play and be on the side of Mahomes, because that has been such a successful side in recent mind of the bettors. Like, you ask for a little bit of a premium there. But now that we're getting closer to close, and I feel like, sort of the matchups have been as broken down as you can get them, and the information is pretty much in. I really thought the Eagles were going to flip this thing because I just think they're the better team. I have very, very strong feeling that every positional matchup and matchup group you can come up with here, pass rush versus O-line, coverage versus skill position group, rushing attack, run blocking versus run defense. Like both sides of the ball, I'm pretty confidently checking Eagles as having matchup advantages in every type of just X's and O's standpoint. Now, the intangibles is impossible to argue that the Eagles have really anything going for them. I guess special teams also. Special teams and the intangibles.
Yep.
Pretty clearly like in favor of the Chiefs here. And I don't know, man, if that's worth 3 points, then I guess I need to like rethink my entire handicapping strategy. But, outside of the fact that they've just done it before and they're coming in with the success that they have and that Mahomes has been in this position and played so confidently. And, if this is a close game and it comes down to, team with the ball last either puts away the game or, kind of drives to score. Like I get why anyone would feel more comfortable with Chiefs and Mahomes, but otherwise, I feel like this is pretty clearly, an Eagles team that is substantially better than the Chiefs. I think the idea that the Chiefs' run defense has sort of decayed over the course of the season is being a little bit ignored and a little bit kind of glossed over because people just want to talk about what a great job Spagnuolo has done. And in those super high leverage plays against both Houston and Buffalo, he came up with the blitzes that really put, those offenses on their heels. And it's like, okay, great. But like you're not stopping the run, and now you're going up against a team that's doing it better than anyone does it in football. So how exactly are you going to stay on schedule in this game? How exactly are you going to, be able to create extra possessions for yourself? Because I really think the Eagles are going to have a pretty clear and obvious success on the ground here. I don't think that this is really going to come down to Jalen Hurts having to do anything creative or magical. And I think the Eagles defense really, really well situated to put some pressure on Mahomes, and to really kind of use the elite talent that they have in that secondary, to crash down on a wide receiver and skill position group that's good, not great. So, I've talked myself into a pretty strong position here on the Eagles. It is rare that I full stake a side in the Super Bowl. Like maybe like 2 out of the last 10 years, I would say I had like a really strong position on the side here. But this one looks good to me. And I think, the recency bias of Mahomes just taking everybody's lunch is really kind of shading professional opinion. Because again, like I spent a week in New Orleans last week talking to people who were in media, listening, just being kind of present to the conversation. And it felt like the over and over and over again, it was like, here are 50 reasons the Eagles are better than the Chiefs. I'm picking Mahomes. And it was like what's going on here?
Yeah, no, it's so funny because look, I think a lot of us will, think on Sunday night, if Mahomes does it again, you're like, all right, I did it again. I went against him, but I'm with you. You look at all of the matchups and not all of them. It's not overwhelming. And, special teams, head coach, quarterback, sure. You give the edge certainly to Kansas City, but a lot of edges out there. Speaking of edge, Bet the Edge is the podcast. Make sure you check it out. Drew Dinsick at @whale_capper. As you look at your Eagles money line play, is there any props or does the total, anything correlate to how you're attacking this Super Bowl with your edge, with your Eagles money line play?
Yeah, I mean, there's one, and it's at this point, the price is pretty cooked, but Barkley MVP, I think, is obviously the